Hello, hello, beautiful soul. I am so grateful and honored to have you here and to be sharing this sacred time and space with you today. And what's on my heart is the experience that I've been going through and navigating the last bunch of months, and really a theme of this year for me personally, has been this journey and process of gaining greater levels of clarity. Not only clarity on who I am now, who I am becoming, and the desires in which I am stepping into, but all of the more fine details around those desires. And when it comes to living our greatest life and continuing to evolve on our spiritual journey and expand into our next level of more and manifestations, clarity is so important, because when we are giving off a fuzzy signal or not a clear signal, then the universe can't deliver it to us as efficiently or effectively. And also in that, the universe is always responding to us and to our vibration. So when we do have a little bit of a fuzzy signal, or we're sending out mixed signals, the universe is going to give back to us those mixed experiences. And a lot of that is what I've personally been experiencing this year, the clarity and the contrast. So the contrasting things that show up in our life are what we would call the undesirable or the unwanted, or the challenges that we are faced with. And all of those are pointing us towards what we actually do want on the other side of them. But the key is deciphering the energy of those challenges, deciphering the energy of the contrast, deciphering the emotions underneath them and the desires underneath them. Because as one of my favorite law of attraction teachers teaches, Abraham Hicks, is when you know what you don't want, you then know what you do want. And that is a process of sifting and sorting through what it is that you don't want, and then refocusing, realigning, shifting your energy, your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, and your action towards that in which you do want. But if you don't know what it is that you want, that process of focusing on it is a bit more challenging, right? So there is a process underneath that is imperative for us each to gain the clarity and to ground into that clear signal. And gaining clarity is not a linear path. Most often, it is winding, it is weaving, it is multiple divine detours, it is unexpected challenges that arise, and all of these, we'll say, events or divine encounters and synchronicities are inherently showing us two things. They're showing us where we're at vibrationally right now and energetically right now, and what's dominant in our experience. And it's also showing us when we explore it, when we get curious about it, when we open up to just explore, right? And see and hear and feel into and play with those challenges. Then we get the clarity on the other side. So how this has been showing up for me personally in my life has been in a few areas. So first has been within my relationship dynamics. And what I've been desiring, one of my main intentions for this year has been expansive and reciprocal and resonant connections and relationships. And relationships are really important to me. That is a priority to me. I love connecting through the heart. I love going on a journey of life with people in various ways. I love having expansive conversations. I love being able to support and be supported. I love being able to guide and be guided. I love being able to have these growth and expansive exchanges. And that shows up in a multitude of ways, right? So in my marriage, it looks very different than it does with one of my friends. And that looks different than with my community of soul family members like you and my clients, right? And so each of our relationships has their own dynamics. And what I have been sifting and sorting through to gain my clarity is, what are the relationship dynamics that I desire within my community and with my soul family? And what does that look like in my new friendships? Because what I've experienced in the past, we'll just go with friendships on this one. What I've experienced in the past was not desired for me. I experienced a lot of competition. I experienced a lot of jealousy and betrayal. I experienced a lot of, I want to say disempowerment. And I also experienced a lot of one-way dynamics where I was always the one showing up for the connection. I was always the one giving. I was always the one who was, observing and offering to them my whole heart. And I wasn't necessarily receiving that same expansive energy or exchange. And what I noticed was when I made this shift of, okay, these are now boundaries that are being crossed because I'm holding myself in a higher standard, and I desire to have these more reciprocal exchanges. I desire to have a deeper connection where both people are adding value to the relationship and it's not just one-sided. And this was really challenging for me, aside from all of the betrayals and the backstabbing and the lies. I've had friends steal from me and just all kinds of funky shit, right? And when funky shit shows up, it's not always, it is in our vibration, but there's soul lessons that are also involved in those things too. There's soul lessons, there's soul contracts. And that's another topic for another day. But all of it is significant in helping us gain clarity on, again, what it is that we do want, right? So from these experiences, I was able to kind of decode for my own clarity puzzle that I desired this reciprocity. I desired trust. I desired acceptance. I desired safety. I desired mutual empowerment and support versus jealousy, competition, or one person trying to be the authority or overpowering. That was definitely not the vibe. I was not desiring someone that wanted to control me or be in a controlling type of scenario with me. I wanted both parties to be, or multiple parties to be individual, to be whole and complete, and to rise in connection together, to add to each other's life, to be mutually supportive and understanding and accepting and open and safe and honest and all of these things, right? And also in that process of opening up to having these soulful connections and having these deeper friendship relationships required me to go through my own healing process and also decluttering of those mixed signals. Okay. So the mixed signals that were coming from me and my energy was the hurt, right? Was the hurt, was the pain, was the distrust of other women, and was the not feeling safe in opening up or being vulnerable, or not being safe in opening up to receive support, not feeling safe in being heard or being held in a vulnerable state. And I really had to move through those really challenging emotions and challenging healing aspects of myself, of my inner child, of, moving through sisterhood wounds, moving through witch wounds at a soul level, of being like ostracized and outcasted, and all of these layers, right? And so through the healing of those layers and through the decluttering of those mixed signals and through the decluttering of the contrast, I was then able to rise into a new vibrational signature and new relationship dynamics. And through that process of gaining the clarity of what I desired, and also gaining the clarity in my vibration to be aligned in that, so that I was sending a clear signal vibrationally, right, in harmony with my desire. Then from that space, I was able to open up to call in and experience the soulful friendships that I desired. And even in those experiences, so when they finally physically manifested, I would say, when my friends, showed up at my house, and we got to really be together and build our connection and go on this journey together, and it just came into physical form, right? As I have had this growing connection in my relationships with some of my soul sisters and soul friends, it's also been a journey of continuing to expand and open in my heart to let them in more and to let myself be more intimately connected as well. So those are the things that are continuing to come into my awareness of clarity. And all of this has come from those extreme challenges and heartbreaks and having to decipher and release all of that clutter that was sending mixed signals. I was saying, I wanted to have more soulful friends. I was saying that I wanted to experience more close sisterhood connections. I was saying that I desired to have people local to me and far away, regardless of location. I really desired this heart-centered connection. And it really was required of me to align myself to that experience, because they were out there. They were out there the whole time. But I had to energetically align with a clear signal in order to be the resonant match for them to come into my physical experience. And then for us to nurture the relationship and grow the relationship from an aligned space, from a soul aligned space. And Well, I desired those connections immediately when the desire, when the seed of desire was placed in my heart and the awareness was there after, healing through grief of old relationships that had been dissolved and were no longer resonant, were no longer serving, again, through those hurts and those challenges. I had to allow my healing process, and I also had to allow myself to get into that clear signal of alignment. And that journey is gaining clarity. It is sifting out the noise. It is decluttering the challenges and the density and the lower vibrational aspects. It is healing enough and activating yourself into a higher state of being. It is telling a new story of how you desire things to go and opening and acting accordingly. And each edge that you meet, when you get the clarity and the signal is clear and you're sitting back in certainty knowing that it's just going to come on in when it's meant to, usually happens, in an unexpected way. And also, when it does come into your physical experience, you are still going to continue getting more and more clear on your signal and rising through those relationship dynamics. So in this process, I've also had people coming into my world that were partially on the same wave, but then it dissolved kind of quickly. And I allowed that to simply be, an observation and a lesson again in getting more clear on what feels correct and soul aligned for me, and continuing to focus on that and continuing to focus on that in which I do desire. And that is what clarity is. It is continuing to focus on that in which you do desire. Through your beliefs, through your thoughts, through how you feel, and then the aligned and inspired action you take from that space. And not only action, but the way that you then show up in the world, from the expression of yourself, from your energetic and vibrational expression, which is an active, dominant, vibrational reality, which is your point of attraction. And so when you are emitting that clear signal, once you've gone through this sifting, sorting, deciphering, decluttering, purifying process, you become this clean, clear signal, this clean, clear channel of expression that is a match for what you desire to experience. And so me sharing all of this in relation to, the friendship relationships that I now have that I desired for so long are so inspiring and empowering to me, but I'm really honoring the process that I went through to get here. And that process of gaining clarity through the contrast. And it wasn't an immediate instant gratification type of desire manifestation. Some things instantaneously manifest. Some things instantaneously come into your world. And it's like pure miracle and pure magic and blissful and mind blowing and all of the things, right? Like that's definitely there. And also sometimes our deeper desires, those soul fulfilling, craving desires, when it feels like it's there, but it still feels like something is missing in a sense. And we're just in the process of closing the gap. And by closing the gap, you're really aligning energetically and vibrational in a clear signal so that you're a clear match to that experience. And some things take a bit more of a process. And so we've got to honor ourselves with grace and compassion. We've got to honor ourselves through that transformational process, through those transformational fires, through that discomfort as we're gaining the clarity, as we are aligning into that full, clear channel and signal. And we have to find our way into trusting that that is exactly where we're supposed to be, even when we're in contrast, and pivoting each moment onto, okay, I see that this is not what I'm desiring to experience. And now that I can see that, what is the opposite of this? Right? If I'm not feeling supported, oh, I want to feel supported. How can I feel more supported right now? What levels of support do I have right now? What resources of support do I have now? How can I focus more on appreciating that in which I do have for support right now? And building momentum on that level of clarity. Oh, and this is what I do desire more of. I desire that higher level of spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, financial support. And now I can see with appreciation all that I do have. And from that place, we amplify and build momentum and center into that clear signal on what it is that you do desire. And so I want you and encourage you to find a sense of inspiration and empowerment in wherever you are on your process, in your transformational and soulful journey, in gaining your clarity. Acknowledge with reverence the contrast that's presented to you, because that is gold too. The contrast is just as much gold as the clarity when you allow it to be. When you allow yourself to see, oh, okay, what's the mirror? What's the opposite? And then go towards that. And each time you do, more magic, more miracles, more synchronicity, more expansion, more appreciation, more growth will open for you. And then those physical manifestations and that evidence in your reality will show up when you allow yourself to hold that clear intention and that clear signal more and more and more. As you allow yourself to pivot into that more and more and more. Let your contrast and the challenges serve your growth. Let them empower you into a greater level of clarity and appreciate all that is being shown to you every step of the way. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's challenging, it holds significant meaning and purpose. And each step along your process is meant for you to get something out of it. I pray that wherever you are on your path today, this lit something in you to continue moving towards a greater level of clarity and aligning into that in which you desire more fully. I love you. I appreciate you. And I am so honored to have had this sacred space and time with you today. Until our next divine encounter, I'm sending love, light, and happy dances your way.